is being live streamed.
Okay, great. I'm also recording here. So should we start, Kajal?
We just have 5 participants. We should probably wait for some time, right? Maybe like a minute or two.
Okay. So you're able to see my screen, right?
Yes.
It's coming up for me. I can. Yes, now I can. I just want to drop the message on the groups that we're going to be starting.
Yeah, I just did that in few of the groups. I'll make you co-host, the most important thing.
Yeah.
I think I should stop sharing the screen for that.
Yes, I'm the co-host now. Yeah.
Okay, so you can start admitting the people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's start. It's 5 minutes.
Yes, let's get started.
Okay.
So, Sirisha, we are waiting to upload the video.
It's asking for request access because it's from TOT email. So I'll just accept it from TOT. You're able to see only the presentation, right?
Yes.
Sorry. Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm Sirisha Mantha. I'm parent of a girl living with type 1 and I'm a certified diabetes educator. Today's topic is pregnancy with T1D. So marriage and pregnancy are two important life events that can cause stress to the families having persons with type 1 diabetes. Things are changing for good. Once upon a time, marriage was difficult and women with type 1 diabetes were told they could never have children. Thankfully, today it's a common knowledge that a healthy pregnancy is quite possible. Still, there are a lot of open questions and misconceptions. Please note that this program is meant to create awareness via discussion, and we are here to discuss only what worked for the T1D moms who came as guests today. This is not a doctor program, and we are not giving any medical advice. For specific health related questions on pregnancy with T1D, please consult an endo, gynecologist, or a relevant healthcare professional. So we are asking Priya some questions first and then talk to Henna as well after Priya. Let me share a small video of Priya's sweet family.
Hey, Sirisha, quick thing. When you're opening the Word document, it's showing up. I don't know if you are intending to do that or not.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
So that's a very sweet family, very nice pictures. So I'll get back to the presentation again later on. So let me introduce Priya. Her full name is Priya Harshini Bhandaru. She works for a medical device company as a supply chain analyst. She has three wonderful kids, Surya, Arya, and Aishwarya, aged 5 years, 4 years, and 15 months. She lives in Texas with her family. She did her bachelor's from Georgia Tech and did her MBA from University of North Alabama. She was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes when she was 15 years old. Since then, she used injections, pumps, and sensor to monitor her blood sugars. She would love to share her experience in regards to pregnancy and childbirth today. Welcome to our webcast, Priya. We are very, very happy to have you here today.
I'm glad to be here.
Coming to the questions we have, these are common questions that we all discuss among ourselves, and some people might have these in their mind as well. There is a stigma around type 1 diabetes and pregnancy. So actually, this is one of the reasons for not getting marriage proposals quickly. So did you face this in your life?
Yes. Truly speaking, yes and no. It's an interesting one because I actually have mine is a love marriage, so I kind of know the person, and the person actually, like my husband, he just felt that I was true and caring, and that was more important to him than my health situations. So he just when I met him, I was true to myself. I was being very frank and up to date, and I pretty much told him the very first, I think probably second or third thing after I start speaking to him was I did mention that I was diabetic, and pretty much uh, just went through. I always like to share that to people I know and to people I work with that I am diabetic, just so that they know if something happens, they're not trying to guesswork and do things last minute. So I usually be very frank with everyone I know, especially someone who, like my colleagues or friends or whoever I'm very close to. I never hide my health situations. I be very frank, just so that they don't get into surprises in the end. So that's how I did. There were times when I have seen my parents, they were concerned about marriage, and they were very concerned about finding the right partner. They didn't know about me being in relation, liking someone. So they were worried. They actually went through the process of putting in the matrimonial site, waiting for things, and that did go through. And I have seen them where they did face some situations where people were like, oh, she is diabetic, okay. And then they kind of had to back off and do stuff, which really hurt my parents. It was not too long before I actually revealed it. So luckily at that time, I think in a good sense, it was good that I actually choose my own partner.
It's a very good thing, actually. It's very happy to know that your partner is completely supportive, knows everything, and he's supportive with all your
I think
condition and
that's
her.
one thing which everyone should know, especially small kids or anyone with that. Like, what your health condition is not you, it's just a part of you. You are taking care of it and you're trying to live to a place where everything is fair and, to take care of yourself and to live longer. So that's that's not just you. It's basically there's so many other parts of you and you just need to be yourself, there's more things about being happy, there's more things about taking care of you, and pretty much I think the concentration should be of how you can better your life rather than being constantly thinking about, oh, I have a health condition. That one you have to take care of it, but that should not be the most priority thing in your life, is what I feel. It's
Very
just
well
these are
said.
all my thoughts.
Yes, yes.
This is how I feel, and I feel like any girl or any boy, anyone who has it, that should not be their first thing that they need to be concerned about.
Okay. So very relevant to us. A lot of parents still they're not comfortable sharing this with anyone when it comes to the marriage situation. It's a place where you definitely don't should not hide the condition. So is it a myth or a reality that it is difficult with type 1 to conceive and that children may also get diabetes in the future?
I feel it's more like a myth because I remember the day when when we were planning to have my first kid, I went to my gynecologist just to check because I got into the myth as well that I will have problems when I'm trying to conceive and have kids. So I went to my gynecologist and said, you know what, I have diabetes. What should I do? And she's like, okay, did you guys try?
Okay.
And I was like, no, I didn't even do anything. I just came in to find out, if there is anything that I need to do. She's like, don't worry, there's nothing to be concerned about. Go ahead, try. And if you, for any reason, you are having problems, then come back to me. Your type 1 diabetes doesn't have to do anything with your pregnancy. And pretty much I conceived 3 kids with no issues, pretty much when I want it, and one other two when they want it, if they will. And it was not a problem at all on my side. Um, and I feel personally, I don't feel that it is tied to it. It is just two different organs, right? When you're looking at type 1 diabetes, it's more linked to pancreas. Your reproductive organs are not part of it. So it's two different things. So you should not even think actually that it's gonna have any issues. It's two complete different things, and pretty much if you are having a healthy reproductive organs, it's just gonna go through pretty fine, and you'll not see any issues. It is purely myth that definitely there is going to be a problem, and even for the kids, if you take care of yourself, the main thing is when you take care of yourself, your organs are healthy, and pretty much you once you're healthy, pretty much you are going to have a healthy pregnancy, and pretty much the kids will not have any impact. Yeah, if you're being lousy and you don't take care of yourself, and if you leave it open, yeah, it could it could first affect you more so than the kid, and eventually it can become an issue to the kid. But if you are in a position to control it, take care of yourself like you have to do, right? Why do you want to take it for granted that you don't have to take care of yourself? Even if you have diabetes or anything, you have to take care of yourself. And once you take care of yourself, um, in one way or other way, it's just good. You just live longer.
So has it been tough with T1D, pregnancy? Because it's a
No,
new thing that is added to your daily management. There are a lot of things to learn and everything. So how did you feel?
it was challenging at first, just because I was super concerned. And I think everyone is after conceiving. It's basically, will my baby get it? That was what my everything that was going on in mind. I have to take care of myself to make sure that my kid is healthy. Um, It could be a myth. Luckily, none of my kids have any issues. Um, but I did take really good care of myself when I was pregnant. Pretty much the routine was very strict. I had kind of same kind of foods mostly and try to limit what I eat outside. And because I had a sensor, I was able to see where my sugar levels are. And for my first pregnancy, it was very tight control. It was very, very strict. And the diabetic doctor I had, the endocrinologist, she was also Indian. Her name was Preeti Sridharan, and she helped me a whole lot in trying to manage my sugars. The thing is, because of pregnancy, you gain a lot of weight. And once you gain a lot of weight, it gets harder to control your sugars. The usage of insulin goes really high, and you just need to be focused on what you eat. And at the same time, it's pregnancy. So you get so hungry, you are like, you want to eat. I know I was completely focused on eating cucumbers and carrots most of the time, just because those don't raise the sugars so much and at the same time keep me full. So I was eating great. I was eating, but I was eating healthy. It was more of the regular diet, which will keep me good. I was focused on eggs in the morning to make sure it doesn't raise my sugar levels. And pretty much everything I ate, I tried every single thing: brown rice, quinoa, um, um, every single thing you can name it. Pretty much tried everything just to make sure it's controlled. Eat more on vegetables rather than on the rice. Change the diet plans in multiple ways. But that's all to take care of myself. And yes, it was challenging. And during those actually, it's not even 9 months. Usually they say even before you conceive, you need to be in a strict control because you don't know when that will happen. So you need to control your sugars even before that. Um, Not that it will cause any issues, but you're just making sure everything is tight controlled.
Environment should be right.
Actually, give me just a second.
How was the family support from your side?
Just a second. Yeah, Wendy? Sorry, all my kids are here. uh, Family, my husband supported me very well. My parents supported me very well, and pretty much everyone know about it, and they did whatever they can to help me with it. um, when you're diabetic, if the other person is saying, I'm going to go out and eat, you cannot control yourself and say, you know what, I'm going to be a strict diet right now. So yeah, it was challenging, and pretty much my husband was always there, and he made sure I controlled it very well. Um, he made sure I was not a lousy, lousy person too. He made sure I was active. He made sure I walked. He made sure I made, not giving me any sweets, even though I love sweets or chocolates, and pretty much not getting those in groceries, and making sure that, I was super active and super focused on where my sugars are. Pretty much all the time I had my sensor on. So in the night, if it goes slow, it was beeping. So it was bothering him a lot more than me, because he needs to wake me up to let me know that, hey, your sugars might be dropping or you might be having high sugars. So he was very, very focused on me, and I had really good support.
That's an awesome support. It's really, really good to know. So it must not have been very difficult for you to manage the tighter control than before with this good support that you have.
It was, I wouldn't say it was not. The main thing is, as you're gaining weight and as you're gaining, like, getting hungry,
Right.
um, trying to eat the right thing gets challenging. So, how much ever you do, it's more of, you need to work out as well. You need to
Yes.
keep yourself up to speed. Um, I know many people when they're pregnant, they're like, oh, I can eat anything, I don't have to do anything, and I have to just relax. Those are three things which I didn't do. I made sure I controlled my food very well. I had fruits. I had a lot of food. I had nuts. I had cucumbers and carrots, and pretty much mostly relied on healthier foods. Um, I was super active because I wanted to make sure everything under my control, and I took care of myself, and pretty much that did reflect, and everything went really well. The babies were also not too big. Pretty much I had a 6.5 pound kids, around 6.8 pound kid for the first two. So it was very tightly controlled, and they were not too big or small.
That was also my next question supposed to be. Uh, so it's also a myth that bigger babies happen with diabetes. It's all about the control, right? It's not
Yes.
like you would have a bigger baby. It's not like that.
I think it depends upon when you, I know my doctors did tell me that, you need to have your, by 37, 38th week,
Mm.
let's go ahead and deliver the baby. And I know for my third kid, we did wait until 40th week, and she was an 8 pounder. So even though it was actually, it was not as tight as the first one, but definitely better. Previously, like 1, 2 weeks before when I went, my baby was not too big, but I think by the time I had my, like when I delivered it, she was 8.5 pounds. So the other two babies came in around 37 week, and they were about 6 pounds. So if you have tighter control and try to make sure that your babies are conceived by 38th, 39th week, rather than waiting till the 40th week, I think you're gonna have a healthier baby, or smaller, not too big of a baby, but the right size of a baby. Even 8.5, even though they say it's a really big, she was delivered normally, and I didn't have any issues.
Okay.
So I think having the conception that having a bigger baby is hard and to deliver and things, you just need to take life as it comes.
It's like
Just
it's
not think too
usual
much.
for yes, it's usual for non-diabetics as well. It might happen with anyone.
Yeah, I know many of my colleagues who actually had 8 pounder babies too. So
Hmm. Okay. So another thing that I feel funny is that how do you inject when you're pregnant? How do you put a pump because the baby is inside? Does it affect? So,
yes,
what do you say about that?
I think I had the same question, especially because I put sensor on my tummy, and pretty much, every 6 days you need to rotate it. So every time I'm rotating, I'm like, am I gonna hit the baby? And then I went and I asked my endocrinologist and pretty much and the gynecologist, and they were like, you know what? They are in a bubble. They're safeguarded in a particular bubble, and pretty much just because you put the sensor or the pump, it's not so deep that it's going to go and break it. The size of the like the sensor or the needle that actually goes in is very tiny, and they are made sure that they are safeguarded very well. So um, that's the water break that we talk about, right? That's the bubble that I'm talking about. So they are protected very well, and at least from my doctors, they told me that you don't have to worry about it.
So you were also using pump and sensor, both you were putting on the tummy, right?
No, I was putting my sensor on my tummy, whereas my pump on my thighs, just because I wanted more space and easier to move around.
Okay. So, did you have a C-section or all the three babies are normal deliveries?
All the three were normal deliveries.
Okay, that's great. So, did your gynec understand the nuances related to T1D to give you the right support and guidance?
She did, pretty much because I had such a good endocrinologist, and she knew that I was going there. She did ask me for like a notes of how my sugars were trending. And because it was not too off, she was not overtly concerned about it. Um, she like pretty much we did went through, every time I met her, I did show her my readings, and she was like, okay, only concern she had was I did have low sugars because I was on a tight control, and I was trying to make sure I was doing lots of workouts and pretty much sometimes giving a little bit more. So she was more concerned about the lows than the highs. And pretty much, I think both of my doctors were more concerned because when we say tighter control, we are like anytime it goes high, we have pump and we can inject more insulin. So it does kind of the routine, the problem that you face is basically going low. And pretty much that is a super more concern than actually going high, because high in the long range, your organs can be impacted. Whereas if you're low, it can impact right there because you don't know what's happening, and then you can lose your consciousness and you can faint. So lows are equally bad. And I think because of the tighter control and trying to take care of myself, I was running more into the lower zone than the higher zone. So that was something which my gynec was more concerned about. It's like, try not to go low, try to focus on where it's like coming. It's even if it's a little bit high, it's okay. I know you're trying to get to like super tight control, but don't get it so low. Like for me in the mornings, it was just fine. And in the night around probably 11 o'clock to 2 o'clock is when it was used to completely drop. And that's why when I told you, like my husband was always there trying to wake me up and guide me through. That's what we were facing. Is basically at that time I was like, he was super concerned that my sugars will drop and I would not even know because I'm sleeping.
So your doctor knows about the T1D and the control and everything. That's really great. And it's fortunate that you have come across such a gynec who knows everything about it.
I think I'm actually in United States, and pretty much my first two pregnancies were in California, and the last one is in Austin. And pretty much all gynecs are very well aware of it, and they know how to treat it. Pretty much they do have people who actually are highly focused on high risk pregnancies. So even if they don't know, they actually guide us to the high risk pregnancies to make sure that everything is under control, and they make sure that the babies, all the things that we spoke about right now, is to make sure the baby is not being impacted and everything is going well. So they do focus on it and they do guide us through it.
What message do you want to give to the parents of T1D children who worry about marriage and pregnancies?
One thing which I want to say to the parents is, don't be too concerned. Let them live their life. The more you keep telling them that you have diabetes, it's just gonna sit in their mind and impact them. I think it would be better. Sorry. But it would be better for them to live their own life. Do give them guidance to take care of themselves. Try to be active. I think we should be more active. If anyone has diabetes, to be super active and do more workouts, do more exercise, keep up with themselves. And pretty much by the time, if you have it for like 3 to 4 years, you know exactly what to eat, what not to eat, how much to eat. And I think those are the main things that needs to be focused on. In terms of marriage, if it is the right person, they will marry. No matter if you have diabetes, no matter you have any other issues in your life, that is not a concern for the guy. I think we should keep that in mind, that something is going to happen, it's not going to happen. If you're a genuine person, your intentions are good, you can take care of yourself, you can take care of others, and be happy. I think those are the main focus of anyone's life, and that should be the main focus. Yeah, you have diabetes, but you can take care of it. It's just something which is on the side. You definitely need to work on it, but at the same time, that should not be the main focus for anyone. Sirisha, I cannot hear you. You might be on mute.
So
I cannot hear you. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay.
And
So
maybe
there was
Sirisha, if you can move your headpiece a little closer,
yes.
because at times your voice is really very
Okay.
feeble.
I was actually putting it the wrong side.
Okay.
So is it okay now?
Little
Yeah,
better.
much better.
Much
Much
better.
better. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So thank you so much, Priya. It was lovely talking to you. It was quite insightful and inspiring as well. So let us meet again for audience questions in half an hour.
Okay.
You can take
Okay,
a
sure.
short break with your kids.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay, now let us welcome Henna, another T1D mom. First, let me share my video. Kajal, it's working, right?
The video has not started. I think it's
Okay.
loading.
Yeah, it's loading. I didn't start it yet. Yeah. It's working, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Hi, Sirisha. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, I'm able to hear you. Hi.
Okay. Okay. Hello and good evening, everyone.
Good evening. So
Hi, Hina.
those were amazing pictures, Hannah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for accepting our invitation to come today evening. Let me introduce Henna. Henna Desai is a social sector professional, certified diabetes educator, T1D herself since 22 years. She was diagnosed at the age of 9 and more recently a mother to a 1.5-year-old. She's also associated with Juvenile Diabetes Foundation Maharashtra chapter, the oldest organization for T1Ds in India, as a volunteer. She has participated in various Mumbai-based marathons along with many of her T1D friends and has played an active role in the T1D community over the last 12 years. Thanna enjoys being a busy bee, and when not involved in any of these activities, she enjoys lounging with her son and family. Hi, Henna. We are pleased to have you here. Let me start with my questions. Some of the questions are similar to what I asked Priya, but I think the perception and the experiences would be different. So,
Sure. Please go ahead. Yeah. Thank you.
so the first one is there is stigma around type 1 diabetes and pregnancy. So actually, this is one of the reasons for not getting marriage proposals usually. So did you face this in your life?
Um, so when it comes to stigma in type 1 diabetes, and especially in India, like you rightly said, there is definitely stigma. I am thankful, to be from Mumbai, which is a metropolitan city, and as a result, there is not so much stigma around here. But we are familiar with, people and girls from much smaller cities and towns and even villages for that matter who face this challenge. As a young girl, and growing up in the last 20 years or so, I actually, so whatever stigma that could have hurt me, emotionally, I was very lucky that my family around me was able to protect me from that. They were my champions the whole time, and uh, they were my champions the whole time, and they always spoke up for me in front of my relatives, even though it was not directly in front of me. I would never get to see it, but sometimes when I would just overhear them or something like that, I always had my parents, my family around me who would speak up for me. Now that I am a young mother myself, I'm 31 now, and I have my own family, and I have a family of my husband's as well. So whenever these kind of topics, whenever type 1 diabetes comes up, I'm very lucky to have the support again in my new family, where my husband, my in-laws, they speak up for me always. They are armed with all the information that is needed about type 1 diabetes, and they see me work with it day in day out, and they have the confidence because I have the confidence, and because of that the stigma doesn't really get to us. So yes, stigma is there, but tremendous support from your family, having support from the community, the type 1 diabetes community, because there are very few type 1 diabetics in the world when you go to see diabetic population in general. So there are very few of them, and as a result, it is very, very important that the community support is there. My family also, as I grew older, when they found, like I've shared, JDF, Juvenile Diabetes Foundation, it really was a life changer, life changing moment for them, because they could see so many other young girls and boys having diabetes, so many older children, older teenagers, adults then, and who are today, grandparents themselves. So looking at them, they felt the confidence. They gave me the confidence. As I grew older, I got the confidence to speak up for myself. Overall, the support around me was very, very powerful in ensuring that the stigma, which is definitely existing, can be managed very, very easily and very well.
Very good. It's so good to know that your family is full on support for you. And yes, our T1D community is so. Previously, it might not be the case, but now the people are so close to each other. It's like a family. I think they support you for anything that you may go through. And you were a very active member in T1D community even before marriage and pregnancy. So you came from much informed place. So did it make pregnancy any easier? So how did you also feel about the title ranges and everything?
Absolutely. So thanks to the community support that I have, what helped me was that, first of all, my network of all the important people during your pregnancy was absolutely, it was very strong. So I reached out to a gynecologist. So you will never see a gynecologist who is who is proficient in type 1 diabetes. That's not going to happen. What you have to look for is that they should have some experience if possible. So I reached out to my community, the existing type 1 community, and especially those who were living close to me in terms of proximity, because I wanted a doctor who was, close by for me. Naturally, for pregnancy, normally that's the, for every girl, that will always be the most important factor. When I looked around and I just reached out to some of my, type 1 other mom friends, and thanks to them, I got a few very, very excellent references, and I went with the one which I found, most comfort with. So that was one. Secondly, I had Cheryl Salis. You must be already familiar with her. She's, she's a good friend of mine since many, many years, through JDF. She offers a lot of services and support to JDF as well. So I approached her for, managing my diabetes. She's also a, as you know, pump trainer and educator and everything. So she helped me a lot in my journey in terms of sugars. Thirdly, I read this book called Pregnancy with Diabetes. It's written by this lady, Ginger Vieira. She is in the, I think she's in the US, and that is one of the first books written exclusively for type 1 women wanting to go for pregnancy. So when I got my hands, I had to order it from abroad, and got it delivered here, and everything. But it was really worth it. I read the book cover to cover, and it armed me with so much information, so much knowledge, and prepared me for what was to come. I was told, yes, that your blood sugars will rise, but to what extent it's going to rise, how fast it's going to rise, how to manage that. The book turned out to be an absolutely wonderful resource, very, very useful for me. I would recommend anybody who wants to go for pregnancy to definitely get their hands on that book. That was one of the most important aspects for my pregnancy, for a very comfortable and a confident pregnancy. Sorry about that. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that with us. Hope the audience made a note of it. So you also must have T1D buddies who are at the same time expecting babies at the same time that you were expecting.
Yes.
So how was that kind of support system?
Yeah, so I actually have a friend. Her name is Nikita, And we always joke that, she's my friend from JDF. That's where all my earliest type 1, T1D friends are based, and have a very close support system. It's like a family to me, with whom I've grown over the years. So this friend of mine, and so Nikita and I both joined JDF together, and we held hands, and we were very new 17-year-olds, trying to understand this camp that is there for type 1s, and we were very new at that time. So we joined together. You'll be surprised that we actually got married on the same day, exact same day as well. So all of our friends had to attend her wedding in the afternoon, and evening they had to come to my wedding. So it was really funny. We went for our honeymoon also to the same exact place, but thankfully not together.
Okay.
And then we got pregnant at the same time as well. So she had her baby around 3 months before me. And just like her, there were 2-3 other friends of mine from JDF. Two other friends of mine from JDF who were pregnant as well. So, excuse me, we decided to, and they were all of us were undergoing our first pregnancy, right? So we didn't, even though we did have experienced mothers, but we thought we'll just make a small group and, get together and just share with each other what's it like. Then I started spreading the word across India. Apurva from Delhi, reached out, or rather, I don't remember how it happened. But then we got to know that a few, young type 1 women, they were also expecting. So we all thought together, let's all make a group, and we, continue to be in that group. And till date, we are in that group. We've got people from, it's a very informal WhatsApp group, but there are now women from all over India, from Hyderabad, from I think from Chennai as well, and a few from Delhi and everything. So Aurangabad and lots of places. But what happened was, I think all of us, of course, pregnancy starts, it has to end as well, right? Now it's like a type 1 mom group. We still have from time to time new women getting added, but it's a very nice little informal group, very helpful, especially the duration of the pregnancy itself. We really connected, and we were able to support each other a lot, especially in terms of blood sugar. So whatever resources and information I was able to get from my network, I was constantly passing it along, and same for all of us.
Okay.
So it was very exciting to know that, like other mothers who you normally, when 2 women get pregnant at the same time,
Yes,
but it's very happy. It's very nice and warm feeling when 2 type 1 mothers are, expecting. So that was very helpful.
very, very interesting and very sweet as well. You guys go through the same things and you keep sharing, you keep learning.
I must also, Sirisha mention, actually, I missed it. It's been so long now since my pregnancy. But what I missed was, besides this WhatsApp group where I was interacting and, we kind of started it and everything. There are these international communities on Facebook you would find for type 1 mothers. And they are, they are a huge resource of like information that is available on those kind of groups. You just go to the search bar and look within that group. You should, if anyone wants to look for any particular topic, whether it is breastfeeding, whether it is infections at the time of pregnancy, anything like that. So it was very useful for me to see what was getting discussed all over the world, how type 1 diabetes and pregnancy was getting managed all over the world. It was very, very helpful and very heartening to see people having kids. And in India, maybe, now there's a culture of having 1 or 2 children. But in the US, surprisingly, I could see like type 1 women having 4, 5, 6 children, one after the other, and being able to manage those kind of pregnancies. So it really opened up my perspective and my mind about, a pregnancy. And I was, because, we had an internal community as well, I was, able to constantly share those kind of things with them also, which we are happy that it helped everyone.
So yours must be a pioneer group, the group that started the first of its kind in India, probably. So people who may want to join currently, they may get in touch with you later on.
Yes, yes,
to
absolutely.
join
It's a
you.
very informal group. Just we just have to make sure that you have to wait for at least 3 months into your pregnancy, because we and miscarriages, for example, are way more common than we think. Not in type 1 diabetes, but in general. So the first 3 months are a little critical for any pregnant woman, not just for a type 1 diabetic, any pregnant woman. So it is expected that after 3 months, normally once your pregnancy is stabilized, after that, if you wish to join any our WhatsApp group, please, you can just feel free to message me, WhatsApp me, or find me on Facebook or anything like that.
So, like you said previously, in India, the gynecologists were not too much understanding about the T1D. So, how is the things now? How are the things now, based on the information that
Um,
you get?
yeah. So see, a gynecologist knowing how to manage type 1 diabetes is like, you're looking for something very like looking with a torchlight. You're looking for a needle in a haystack, right? It is only going to be as good as the experience that the gynecologist has with other type 1 diabetics. So the more type 1 mothers get pregnant, and they get married, they get pregnant, they have children, the more different gynecologists will start having that kind of experience. Now the type 1 population is only so small. Within that, women within that pregnant age, or a childbearing age. So when you see that population, it is so small that it is not expected that your neighborhood gynecologist is going to be very proficient with managing your type 1 diabetes. So that expectation should never be there from a gynac. A gynac is not going to manage your diabetes, and it's not he or she is not responsible for it either. You and your own diabetologist or endocrinologist or whoever you work with for managing your diabetes, and you should be working with with an expert for that. Whoever you're working with to manage it should be the person who will be helping you out with your diabetes. Now, normally what the trend is that your gynecologist and your endocrinologist should be in touch with each other. They should be having a regular dialogue. They manage usually, like my gynac was already, he already knew like half the doctors of JDF. The hospital that he's associated with, the founding member of JDF is already part of that hospital. So they are all,
Okay.
in a connected group.
Hmm.
So I didn't have to worry. Also, he had experience with managing type 1, pregnancies. He has seen or he has had, delivered babies of other type 1 mothers prior to me.
Okay.
However, he from the start only he told me that, Hannah, you have to manage your blood sugars. I will not be the one, but my expectation is that you are keeping good control over your sugars. Okay, so that your pregnancy goes as smoothly as possible. So that was his ask from me. And every visit with my gynecologist, he would just ask me a very general statement that how are your blood sugars? Is there any challenge with that? If there is, are you in touch with your existing endocrinologist? So he would just get a general sense of things from me, but he is not the one. The gynac is not the one who will be involved in any kind of decision making for your diabetes.
Okay. So I think they know about gestational diabetes, and in gestational diabetes, some part of the population are on medication. Not all of them are on insulin. So even I went through gestational diabetes in my second pregnancy. So even I can relate that the doctors just tell how to control, how to keep the ranges. That's all. They're not totally involved in the management. For
Yes.
T1D, it's like day to day, very tighter management.
Yes, that's true.
And would you tell us about your postpartum? So there is a lot after birth. So
Yes.
it's difficult for anyone. So particularly when it comes to a mom with T1D, is it any tougher? Lot more tougher.
So actually, what I thought was that if you are well prepared with the, if you know what is coming postpartum, because postpartum your body is going to go back to its usual self, and it's going to go that happens very, very fast, right? So as during your pregnancy, as the your requirement for insulin rises, and that's a very important thing and a very natural thing to happen. Just one side note regarding insulin requirements. A lot of type 1s are very scared that insulin requirement is increasing, that means my diabetes is not in control. In pregnancy, that's not how it happens. Your insulin requirement increases very, very rapidly after a certain, after a few months. And when I say rapidly, it means within 2 days, 3 days, you need to change all your, if you're on the pump, you need to change all of your settings all over again every 2-3 days. You might also be, if you're on insulin injections, your doses are going to change completely every few days. They will go on increasing, and by the time your pregnancy is towards its end, you will see that your requirements have gone up almost by 200-300%. So if you're taking, say, in an entire day before pregnancy, you were taking about 45 units of insulin, you can expect it to go easily 200 and even beyond. That insulin requirement increase is absolutely normal and nothing to be scared about. What a type 1 mom needs to be sure of, that she's acting on it very fast. So more monitoring is needed, more quick action is needed. You can't wait to send your results after 2 weeks, and then after 2 weeks you start making the adjustments. That doesn't work in pregnancy. So yeah. So coming back to postpartum, now that once the pregnancy is over, after you come back, your body starts going back to its original state. The baby is no longer inside, it's outside now. So the baby does not need, that kind of, energy that is needed during pregnancy. But now the baby needs it from outside, because that's when the breastfeeding journey starts for the mother. And this is in a regular situation. This is not to say that everybody has to do breastfeeding, or whether it's right or wrong. There's no such thing. But breastfeeding is a recommended practice now, and there is a breastfeeding week that gets celebrated, and it's a practice now that is highly recommended by all gynecs, by pediatricians, by doctors in general, the fraternity in general. So once the baby is outside, your milk, the mother's milk comes in, and once that starts happening, for the milk to keep coming, and you have to remember that for the next 6 months, the baby is going to be completely dependent on your intake of food. So your whatever you eat is going to go to the baby. So in terms of the pure carbohydrates, calories that the baby requires, right? In fact, we normally say that pregnancy may, the mother should eat for 2 people. Actually, you will see that that actually holds true after the pregnancy is over. For the first 6 months, there is a constant need to eat, because the blood sugars keep dropping constantly.
Yes, I think
Breastfeeding,
that's because of sensitivity. Sorry to interrupt.
yes.
Because of improved insulin sensitivity, right?
Yes. So breastfeeding normally initiates. Breastfeeding is like a mini marathon. Okay, so every session of breastfeeding will be like a little marathon for the mother. She will be burning calories like anything at that point, and as a result, she will be requiring the caloric intake immediately at that point. So lots of water is needed for the mom, and lots of food is needed for the mom. She will, the mother is going to go very, 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 very low all the time in terms of blood sugars, and very frequently. So the doses have to come down immediately after pregnancy, normally, depending on how the pattern is. And as and when she breastfeeds, especially in the first 2 to 3 months, her sugars are likely to drop. So postpartum caring of the mother is very, very important. I used to have juices, food, all those laddus that my mother made for me, all of that by my bedside. And those were a real savior for me in the first 3 months. Thankfully, I did not have any serious episode of hypo, which was, something which is concerning, like a severe hypo or anything. But as and when I used to go low, I used to have to treat it immediately. And postpartum also, what happens is that because the body is recovering very fast, and it's, the calories are burning like at a crazy rate. Your metabolism is very high at that time, it seems. So we feel tired also a lot, very, very tired. And your sugars are dropping at the same time. So it's really very difficult, but it's not impossible. So if you're prepared and you know what's coming and you prepare adequately for it, you can easily sail through it very easily.
Also hunger, because I'm also a mom of 15-month-old, so breastfeeding and hunger also is one of the things you want to eat more actually, because that is one of the ways for body to, I think, get the calories, right? So
Correct.
how do you manage that then, hunger and all?
Yeah, so
you
hunger,
don't want
like
to again change it, mess up with the sugars as well, right?
Right. So that's a very common question that comes up. So I'll tell you, in my case, what happened was that I, thankfully, my sugars would be constantly on the lower side. So like you said, rightly said, insulin sensitivity increases a lot at that time. So everything that you eat, because your, body is burning it so fast, you don't, whatever you eat, it gets, your blood sugar will just not rise. Like that really happened in my case. My blood sugar just wouldn't rise because even though I was eating constantly, and I was drinking juices and this and eating laddus and all these sweet things that my mother made for me, everything, but my sugars would just not budge. So so you can imagine, like, it's like if you, and I used to breastfeed like so many times a day, right? In the start, at least you normally do. So every time I would breastfeed, my sugar would drop again. So I thought, personally, I thought that the first few months, whatever I ate, and I ate healthy food only, of course, because I was at home, and also COVID started by that time. So then we were just home. So I was eating just good old home food, and my sugars just would not rise. That's really what happened in my case. This is not to say that this will happen in everybody's case. Every mother's body is different. She might start seeing increase in sugar slowly, but as that happens, that means that your body is trying to come back to its usual self. So that is an indicator that yes, you should now start increasing your doses again slightly, little bit, because at the start you literally need very, very little insulin. You literally survive on basal insulin so many times in the first week or so. But then slowly the requirement starts going up, and then over a period of time, 8-9 months after a pregnancy, 10 months, 1 year, your dose comes back to what it was before the pregnancy. Like I said, patterns have to be constantly, you have to look at the patterns. So I had my CGMS on throughout my pregnancy. I had my CGMS on with me for the first 6 months of postpartum as well. But after that, more or less, I was back to my usual self.
Okay. So any myths about pregnancy that you want to burst today?
When type 1, I think the first myth is, of course, that it's not the case that you can't have children with type 1 diabetes. Another myth I constantly hear, and I don't know, this fascination with having a normal delivery or vaginal delivery for women, that for them, they think that going, or a lot of families, in fact Indian families, think that if you have a normal delivery, that's the the right way to deliver. If you're breastfeeding, that's the right way to do. That doesn't hold true actually. What matters is you have, after a lot of efforts you put in, you have your baby in your hand, you have started your family, and you are on a different journey. So I think whatever it takes to get there shouldn't matter much. So a lot of type 1 women, worry that, I will undergo a C-section. I personally did undergo C-section because in my case, my baby had grown, despite my best efforts in managing my diabetes, my baby size had really grown. So by the time I went, to the hospital towards the end of my pregnancy, my doctor actually aimed for a normal delivery, but in my case, baby size was so big and my height is not like, so much that I could, it would be very difficult to deliver the baby. That was my doctor's recommendation. And jabke he is a advocate for, a normal delivery. But in my case, at the end, he finally said that, Anna, this will be safer for you and for the child, especially since you are not a very tall person. So anyway, so normally what happens is that, C-section is something that, women worry about a lot, type 1 women, that I don't want to undergo a C-section and, that's not the way to have a baby. That's not true. Babies, whether it's a C-section, it's a normal delivery, the baby is out, coming.
Motherhood is the same.
Exactly. And it's safely outside your body and you are safe and the baby is safe, and that's all that matters. So I think women who worry too much about, or families who are worrying too much about having a C-section, of course, other than the financial implications, which is again not much, but C-section is really, in these days and these times, C-sections are very, very safe. If that is something that you're worrying about, when you're thinking about starting a family, then it's really not needed. But if you are the other thing is normal deliveries. Normal deliveries are totally possible, and I've had a lot of friends, type 1 friends, who underwent normal deliveries. So there is no such rule that type 1 mothers will undergo C-section. That's not the case. That's another big myth to burst. Another thing is breastfeeding in type 1 diabetes. Breastfeeding is recommended whether you're a type 1 diabetic or not. It doesn't mess with your blood sugars, or rather, your blood sugars don't mess with the milk that comes in. That's not how it works. Like if your sugars are high and then the baby will get milk, sweet milk, those kind of myths are there.
Right.
But that's not how it works. The body is really very miraculous. Unless you're having very continuous high blood sugars and continuously you have a high HbA1c, or you have a if you have any such issues, or if you're in DKA or something like that, then it's a cause for concern when it comes to breastfeeding. But if you are a typical type 1 diabetic with highs and lows as part of your life, it is absolutely safe to be breastfeeding your child. And that's the other myth that definitely should we should talk about it.
Okay. So, and finally, what message you want to give to the parents of T1D girl children who worry about marriage and pregnancies?
Yeah. Okay. So one thing, yes. So for parents especially, I'll tell you one thing. See, what do you want for your child is important. Of course, we all, now that I am a parent, I'm also speaking as a parent myself. I'm not speaking as a child who is rebellious, or who thinks that whatever parents are thinking, it's not it's not valid or something. But see, what we have to think is we worry a lot, especially Indian parents worry a lot about social acceptance. And whether diabetes, even if there are any other challenges that the child is facing, we worry whether the society will accept the child. How will the child become part of the society? So my only message to the parents is that get them ready for the society. The society is not as cruel as we think. Things are changing, times are changing. And if it's not changing, if you feel that it's still very old, and the mindset is very old and everything, but you can be that change maker then in that case. But in general cases, like in cities and all, what is more important is that a child is happy. So make them independent, make them such a way. And when you are having very little children, You think that, oh no, they are going to be with me for life. I have to manage their diabetes for life. That's not how it works. Normally, up to the age of 12, you are the one responsible for your child, whether a boy or girl. You're the one responsible for your child's diabetes. Between the age of 12 to 18, normally the hand holding happens. So there are parts of the diabetes that your child will handle, parts that you will handle. Okay, but majority, the accountability is in your hands. But once the child is above 18 and is an adult, ready to face life, whether wanting to get married, whether wanting to pursue careers, specific careers, whether they want to pursue certain kind of education abroad, whether they want to, pursue anything that they want. Your responsibility as a parent is to bring them to that age of, or that adulthood where they are completely independent. uh, they know how to manage their diabetes confidently. They can survive in any situation. Whether it is a wedding where they realize, oh no, I didn't carry my insulin, or whether they are out of India where they're studying and they have, say, a hypo. I'm just giving you extreme situations because these things happen. But how the child reacts and how the child manages is dependent on how those first, those initial years of life, up to the age of 12, up to the age of 18, how you work it out with them. They will learn, they will see from that, and they will apply that when they are older. So if you are confident at that age, your child, as they grow older, they will be super confident. And then, you once they are confident, everybody around them will be, they'll see that confidence and they will feel that, I cannot. So today, like, nobody can tell me, because they see my confidence, and nobody can come and tell me that, oh, you have diabetes, and how did you, how can you do this? And I don't think you can, you're capable of this. I have not had a single such instance of anybody telling me that, because I ensure that I exude enough confidence about my diabetes. So please ensure that that confidence is there with your child as they grow older. That helped me a lot, and it will, as my mother and my parents, took me along this journey. My first few injections were given by my mom, but after that, as I grew older, when I was a child, my mother used to, of course, test my blood sugar. Then I learned to do it, and then she would ask me that, what is your blood sugar? Then as I started going to college, she would ask me once a day. Then as I grew even older, then she would ask me once in 3 months what my HbA1c is. So that is the, slow release of control from her side, and to make me independent in what I am today. So prepare your child for that, and things will be, trust me, very, very smooth. And when you think about partner and having a life and having a family, once you find the right partner, you are able to, everything is possible. So prepare your child for that, and all of that will, fall in place. Another thing, very important thing is, please don't try to push your child into, normalcy. Like, don't think that my child is diabetic, so when she will grow older, I will get her married to a non-diabetic. And don't have that kind of expectation, because that is an unrealistic expectation to have. If you had a child who was non-diabetic, you would not look for a diabetic spouse for them, right? Same applies there. So look within the community, there are a lot of amazing people. uh, um, Let your child be ready in such a way that when they are looking for their partner, the you know the partner will become attracted to the confidence that your child has, right? That's how my husband, when never found diabetes as something that he has to hide from anyone. My diabetes, that is. My husband is not a diabetic. I have a lot of friends whose type 1 friends whose partners are also type 1. Okay, and I have a lot of friends whose partners are not type 1, right? So I think when you're looking for partners, this should be irrespective of diabetes or not.
Okay. So challenges are bound to come, but how we react matters. You brought up very good, very valid points. Okay. So let's go with the audience questions. Thank you so much, Henna. It was amazing listening to your story, and thank you for answering all these questions.
Thank you.
So our T1 community is very proud of wonderful moms like you.
Thank you.
Is Priya also there?
I'm here, Sirisha. Can you hear me?
Okay, yes. Okay, so let us take some audience questions. Dia sent a message saying, I'm trying to conceive now with HbA1c 6.5 and TSH 5.3, but having a lot of hypertension as I had miscarriage in 2019, so have guidance. Dia, we cannot answer completely health related questions because doctor is the right person to answer, but general advice can be taken from this session. If you or Priya or Henna wants to answer this, you can go ahead. Definitely not. This is not a question that we are supposed to answer. If you want to add anything, you can add to this. So with A1C 6.5 and TSH 5.3, miscarriage in 2019. So I think she's trying to conceive. Will that work? That was her question.
So if you don't mind, can I go ahead with that?
Yeah, sure.
Go ahead, Hannah.
Okay. So the thing with miscarriages is that and I can see if your HbA1c is 6.5. Also, another important parameter that you need to always and now that is more useful than ever is a time in range. Okay, so you may have a 6.5, but if you have a lot of highs and then a lot of lows, is a little something that you need to look out for. So along with HbA1c, please also keep in mind the time in range. You just use a CGMS to see what your time in range is like. You have to ensure that you are about at least 70-75% or so. Okay, so that is the other thing. HbA1c is no longer the single metric to say that whether your diabetes is in good control or not. Second thing, see, miscarriages can happen to anyone. It is, you may feel that it may be related to your type 1 diabetes, but you'll be surprised to know that most often it is not related to type 1 diabetes, unless your diabetes is like completely out of control. Okay, and you have constant lows and constant highs and very in not a very good state, but you seem to have good control over it. So what you need to make sure is that you discuss with your doctors, your gynac in this case. It may not be related to your diabetes. It may be in relation with the other aspects of it of pregnancy. Discuss with your gynac what it is like, and how you will be able to conceive, how you will be able to go through the entire pregnancy. I think that's a more pertinent question. So I can see that you have messaged that CGMS is a bit of concern. If you are able to, if not CGMS, but if you are able to afford the glucometer strips, and you are able to afford 6 to 7 times a day checking of that, right? It is possible. See, I'm talking about CGMS and all that now, right? But do you think when CGMS was not there in India, like not so popular, how did, women were still conceiving, type 1 mothers were still conceiving, having children. So all this was also there. So it's not necessarily that CGMS you need. It's a great tool, but you can make do with the regular finger prick testing also. And if you do 6 to 7 times a day at appropriate timings, that will also work. JDF, for example, the organization that I am from, we give subsidies to our members that way, where strips are provided at a very subsidized cost to all its members. So similar such, wherever you are from, you can you can reach out to either JDF, or you can you can check out organizations in your area, wherever you live, and aim for that. And you can use a simple, any simple Android or whatever app you want to use for managing your blood sugars. They will give you the time in range depending on what the blood sugar reading you input into that app. So they'll tell you that this was your time in range. So you get a fair idea, you know. So if CGMS is expensive, then just do your finger prick testing. That is absolutely fine, and you can do it.
And actually, let me add to it. I think whatever Hannah is saying is true, but I feel it might be two different things. It might not be your type 1 diabetes that is actually restricting you. So first check with gynec, because that was my first question, which I got from my gynecologist is, have you tried? Are you having concerns that there will be an issue? So if you actually go ahead and tell them that this is what happened, and this is my A1C, and if your A1C is 6.5, that means you are not being too bad of a control. So maybe there is more to it, and it's more related to pregnancy itself. So check with your gynec as to how to work through it. And if she feels that it could be, I personally feel it might not be. And as Sirisha mentioned, I'm no doctor at all, but check with your gynec first. Maybe they can give you better advice as to what might be causing it.
So, Dia, do you want to unmute yourself and talk, or anyone else would want to unmute and ask a question? They can go ahead.
Actually, since no one is asking, I have a question for Hannah. Hannah, so I know you said after the pregnancy, your sugars were dropping. Did your doctor actually advise you to change the insulin settings in your pump, or did you actually have it where it was before your pregnancy?
Okay, so what I understood what you're saying is that whether I change the settings on my own or not, right?
Or I know here in US, usually what happens is, because I work with my endocrinologist, she actually advises us to reduce the insulin rates to what it was before, plus probably a little bit more, but maybe like let's say right now it's 100% during your last, like at the time you had the pregnancy, they ask you to drop it like about 75% down. And they say keep it at that level. And actually even more if needed. I know for me, 50% was more accurate rather than 75%. So mine was a little bit high on the sugar levels. So did you have any of those advices in India?
No, actually not. The reason being that my gynac decided to just give me the entire control for my, my blood sugars. So all the dose adjustments were done only by myself. Of course, they did. They wanted to. In fact, it was so funny that in the hospital that I was admitted in, the nurses and different doctors, the junior doctors would come to see me just to see my pump. Okay, so they were so fascinated themselves with the way I was handling my diabetes on my own. They rarely get to see such cases, right? It comes like once in many years. So my gynac, was very clear from the start that you will manage your own blood sugars until something serious happens. In that case, then we will reach out to your endocrinologist that you want us to. If something happens where you are no longer in control, right? Mm-hmm. Then we will take over, or the endocrinologist that you decide will take over your blood sugar management. But until then, as long as you can do it, you please continue to do it the way you want to. So there was no such advice coming from their side. Yeah.
I think that would be one advice which I got from my endocrinologist is basically for all the 3 pregnancies. After the pregnancy is done, they do ask us to drop our basal rates and our boluses to where it is at least 50% or 75%. For me, they said 75%, it just didn't work. It was about 50%. So I know when it came to my 3rd pregnancy, I told my doctor, it's like, don't go all the way down, keep it at 50% just because I see more high sugars than low sugars. Right. So I think that would be a good advice for anyone. I know you are in lots of groups. So if you are actually talking and if someone is going to have a baby, I think it would be good for them to note that as soon as your baby is out, within no time, do change your settings if you're using pump to get it down. And I think that will help.
Right. So actually, we do that with my friends, especially those who are on insulin injections. We know, we are aware, and they were advised by their endos to just stop their bolus and just take the basal lantus insulin, for example, and just cut it into half. The final dose before their delivery, that should be like half of it. So yes, that sporadically it is given depending on the understanding and convenience of both the mother and the endocrinologist. Gynacs never get involved in any kind of discussions regarding blood sugar management. Yeah.
And I think that would be a good thing to note is basically it's an endocrinologist who actually helps with the diabetes
Yes.
management rather than a gynec. Gynec is only concerned about the size of the baby, if the baby is doing well. And
Yes.
I know we sometimes feel like gynecs have to know everything, but truly speaking, they are not the specialist. The specialist
Yes.
is the endocrinologist. So even during pregnancy, anytime, I think the focus should be on endocrinology and pretty much your diabetic doctor more so than gynec.
Yes. Absolutely correct.
It was very, very insightful, and I think we learned a lot of things today from you, Priya and Henna. Thank you for sharing so many different things, and I'm sure people would want to talk to you later if they have any doubts. So let's.
Sure, anytime. If anyone has any questions or anything, they can reach out to me. I can
Yeah.
share my email address, and I would be more than happy to share my experiences. As Sirisha said, no doctor, it's just personal experience and personal learning from having T1D.
That's true.
So thanks much. Kajal, are you sharing the screen to talk about the next upcoming event, or should I be sharing it?
If you can share the screen, Sirisha, I can just walk through it if that's okay with you.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Lovely. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sirisha. So, we don't have a very big audience right now, but for those of you who are here, just to keep you all posted that on the 12th of September, we have a event upcoming for the kids, for our kids having T1D. We are organizing a talent show. More details about the event will be followed in the WhatsApp group very soon. And as you can understand, when we say talent show, we are welcoming all our children to come and showcase their talents, be it puppet show, be it dance, poetry, storytelling, sketching, painting, anything, modeling, anything that they would like to showcase. So we will soon be communicating more details of this event. So please do keep your kids informed. Let them know if they want to start their preparation, start giving some thoughts to it. So yes, on 12th of September, we have this event. Um, the next one is, just to say thank you to all of you. And we are present in social media in different pages. Type 1 God's Talent is our page on Facebook, which is for our kids to be able to share their videos and pictures of anything that they would like to share with us. We have some very, very interesting and cute little videos there. So please do take the time out to join this WhatsApp group. It is it's a public group, but of course you need to put in a request. Then you do know about the group that we have on Facebook, which is for low carb recipes. So a lot of interesting recipes there, veg and non-veg, from simple to complex recipes. So if you want to host a full low carb feast, please do refer to this WhatsApp group, this Facebook group, and do join the group, and please do contribute as well. Share recipes over there. And of course, we are there on Instagram, on Twitter, Facebook. So continue to subscribe to our pages and share them with all the other people who might be interested. That's all for today. It was a very, very interesting session. It was so lovely to hear from Hina and Priya about their experiences. And Sirisha, thank you. As always, you're a wonderful host.
Thank you so much, Kajal and Henna and Priya. Thank you so much.
Thank you for
Okay.
having us.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Good
Bye.
day. Bye.